Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video, I wanted to do another keyframe animation experiment, but in this one, let's get a little more technical. What if you wanted to spin the character or have him rotate in the air, right? If you wanted to do like a cool spin, kick, or maybe he does like a flip, right? For that, there's a really good reason why you would want to use a locator, because if you do a flip or a rotation, the locator could actually hold the rotational values, and that will reduce a lot of technical issues or problems that you might run into if you try to actually flip 360 the actual controllers themselves. So let's just see what that looks like, right? So let's just create a really simple animation of him maybe dropping down from the sky and then doing some kind of landing and then doing a quick flip, right? Let's do something like that just for fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this to, let's do 30 frames per second, just so it's a little bit smoother, and let's just assume maybe this is going to be a game character, right? So how do I get started? So the first thing I would need to do is I want to, let's put his swords actually in his hand, right? From our previous videos, you guys should know, if you select the sword and go to the channel box, you can pin it into different sections of the character. So I'm going to select this one and do the same thing. I'm going to pin it to this left arm. By default, one of the things I would like to do is maybe just get it into a better position so it doesn't look like it's kind of going through his hands, right? Let's just move it to something like that. Press E and maybe do, I don't know, something like that, right? I just want to make sure the handle makes sense, like he's holding them. Let's do the same thing with this one. I'm going to adjust it. Now keep in mind, I'm doing all of this before I set my keys, so that's really important, right? I'm going to do all of this adjustment and then I'm going to set my keys. So that's going to be important in a minute. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because this character currently, right, if I select his waist and press W, and start moving this around, you can see that the wrists are set to IK, right? They're pinned. You want to switch these to forward kinematics if we're going to have him fly and flip. And you want to make sure that you switch the IK and FK controllers to forward kinematics before you set the keys. That's really important. So I'm going to do that. So kind of get him ready first, right? Now, obviously, the other thing I want to do is maybe I would like to actually bend his fingers a little more so he hugs the knife a little bit better. Let's go ahead and do that. Just very quickly bend both of these, right? So now it looks like he's grabbing the weapon with his kind of these two fingers, and I guess the thumb is gonna remain kind of loose a little bit. That's fine. So let me close this hand as well. All right, very cool. So I like that. I think that's pretty good. Okay, very cool. So now let's start setting up some keys, right? So how do we do that? I'm going to select the entire character, but you know what? Before I set up the keys, let's bring in the locator. So to do that, you just go to Create, drop in the locator. It's been added, and if you select it, it's not currently visible in this scene. So you want to go to Show, Viewports, and just make sure your locators are on. Once you activate, you can see a little dot has appeared. Now, if you are brand new to Maya and animation, it's really important that you understand that the locator must reside in this scale, which is 111. Otherwise, it's useless. So, super important, right? If you change the scale of it and don't freeze your transformations, that's going to break everything, right? So don't do that. So let's keep it in 1 by 1. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to select this ground controller. I'm going to middle mouse drag it into my locator. And now if I open up my locator, you can see that it's actually including that ground controller inside of it, right? Which is really cool. All right, another really cool trick, if we wanted to have a quick selection button for our rig, right? There's a cool trick we can do. So if you go to the script editor, and let's go ahead and click on this button here to delete all the history. Actually, it's this one. Let's clear everything out. Right? Let's close our script editor. Now let's do this. Let's make a selection across all of the controllers. Holding down the Shift key, I'm going to click on the locator, and that's going to give me a selection of all the controllers, right? Now, if I go back to the script editor, you can see what that looks like. This is the code that we did to select the controllers, right? Now, if you go to your custom shelf, right, you should see a custom shelf. Or you can create your own, whatever you want. But if you go to the custom one, it should be empty. Let's just select all of this code from the script editor of us creating this selection for the controllers, and middle mouse drag it all the way up to the shelf. And then let's say mill. And now there's a button here, right? Now if I close my script editor, and let's go ahead and deselect everything. And check this out. Now if I want just to grab the controllers, all I need to do is just simply click on this button, and everything is selected beautifully. And then I can press S on my keyboard. You see a red line showed up. And now to double check everything, if I deselect everything by clicking outside and then click on each one of these controllers individually, right, from the arm to the elbow, even to the wrist, I can see there's a key set, and even on the foot, right? There, you know, the head, right? There's a key set for every single controller, so they all have been keyed. So this is going to be our little secret on how we're going to quickly select the controllers without the locator. All right, so keep that in mind. That was important. Next, let's just create a simple animation of him dropping down from the sky. So let's go to maybe like frame 10, and let's select all of our controllers and press S. And this is going to be him landing. And then right here on 10, or I mean on 0, let's create something that looks like he's flying, right? So to do that, I'm going to select this ground controller. I'm going to press W, and I'm going to start moving him up. All right, so he's going to be up in the air. Something like that is great. And now if I play my animation, I have something along these lines. Now, before we even start playing with the poses, you can see that he's kind of easing into his position on the ground. It doesn't really feel like he's plopping down as a heavy creature. It feels like he's kind of slowly easing in. And let's take a look and see why. If I select this ground controller and go to my graph editor, I can see what's happening, right? It's kind of easing out and then it's going to ease in. Let's adjust this. So I'm going to select this first curve, and when you select it, you can see on the left it's telling you that this is going to be translate Y. So if I select this, you can see this other line kind of left, and now I'm only left with this one. Now what this is going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to modify this to kind of create a custom animation for the drop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this keyframe here. I'm going to come here to break a tangent, and that's going to give me control over both of these handles on the left and the right side. I'm going to select this one and then middle mouse drag to make it look like something like this, where it's going to be flat and then it's going to quickly come down and kind of hit the ground, right? And if we wanted to, we can even select this one and move it up a little bit if we needed to make sure that this is nice and straight and we don't have kind of a overshoot, right? We don't want that. We want this to be straight and then they're gonna quickly come down. So what does that look like? If we go back to 0 and press play, you can see now we have this really definitive kind of a plump down, right? It goes boom instead of easing in. All right, much better. Now it feels a little bit heavier. Let's go back to frame 0, and in this frame, let's just adjust the character, making it look like he is actually, you know, falling instead of standing, right? How do we do that? Well, let's start with the feet. I'm going to grab both of these feet, holding down the shift key, then I'm going to press W, and I'm just going to simply bend the knees. I'm going to press E, and let's just do something like this. Very cool. Now, we don't want to keep these legs in symmetry, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of them and move one up, select the other one and move it down. Okay, so now it feels a little more natural. I can also bring these in. Maybe that's going to be a little bit better as well. Very cool. And again, we're creating a falling animation. So as he's falling down, most likely he's going to be press E. He's probably going to be looking down to see where is he landing. So that's important. His arms, you know, if he's jumping from somewhere super high, are probably going to be doing something like this, right? I think that makes sense. All right. And now let's see what's going on here. So now he's going to plop down and land, but we want to make sure that he kind of retains this pose all the way until he gets to 9, and then on 10 he goes into like this touch position, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to select all of my controllers. I'm going to right click and do copy. Let's go to 9 and let's just literally paste them in. Okay, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to press grab my ground, press W, and move this down to something like this. Okay, and now on 10 he's going to plop down. On 10 he's going to plop down, but on 9 you could still he's still kind of in this falling animation. Very cool. Let's go to 10 and let's also grab his arms and let's just press E and let's just move these up as well, right? They're still going to be up a little bit as he touches down. Let's review and see what we got. If I go back to 0, I can press play. All right, let's go ahead and select our ground. And remember, we wanted to create that line. So let me go back to translate Y, and we kind of lost that, right? So let's fix this. Let's go ahead and actually select both of these, and let's do spline to make sure this is nice and kind of flat. Now, if I select this, just like we did before, let's grab this, break the tangents, grab this handle, and let's create that nice descend down, right? Nice and fast. Okay, let's just review and make sure that that's the case. And it is. All right, so that's looking good. Let's go ahead and go to frame 15. And in here, let's just start animating kind of the squad, right? So I'm going to select all of my controllers. I'm going to press S to set keys for everything. I'm going to grab my waist here and let's just bring him down. Grab these arms, press E, and let's just bring the arms down. Right? Very cool. Let's bring the head down. And also, I think the chest is going to be bent as well, and we can even bend a little bit of the waist. All right, so now it looks like he really landed, right? Let's take a look and see how that feels. Very cool. So we're kind of blocking this out, right? So we're not going to worry about every single thing like the bandana or the pouch, or, you know, we're just kind of blocking out the main shapes. So here he's flying in, he's landing. When he's landing, I want to make sure he's still looking down, right? So kind of carries over that from pose of flying to pose of landing. So that's cool. And then here the momentum of the gravity kicks in and he kind of starts to crouch down. Very cool. And then right here on 21, let's go ahead and make a selection of all our controllers. Press S, and let's start bringing him back up, right? So we could cheat. We could just grab this, and I'm going to deselect the ground, copy all the keys, go back to 21, and let me just paste them in. I'm going to steal the keyframes from the previous one. And now what I could do is I can press on his head and maybe he straightens the head up. And the arms are now in more of a standing pose, right? Very cool. Right here, let's go ahead and let's make sure the head is still looking down, because then I want him to kind of look up as he stands up. And you know what? I'm going to do even more. All right, let's review and see what we got. And this is happening a little bit too fast, right? So again, I can select all the controllers, press Shift, click on 21, and let's just drag it down to 26. I really want him to stand up a little slower. Let me review this. Alright, that's looking pretty good. The only thing you might notice is that his feet are kind of sliding, right? Let's review that. Let's see what's going on here. If we select his feet only, I can see that this is nice and straight. That means it's probably coming from the ground, right? Let's select the ground controller and we can see what's going on here. There's a little issue there, right? So I'm going to select all of these keys here and let's go ahead and make them linear. And now if we drag this, we shouldn't see the feet going bopping up and down. It's kind of very still, right? So that's going to be important, right? Tangents are really important to control your animation. Very cool. Let's go back and review. And now you can see the feet are nice and solid, right? They're not flopping around up and down. Awesome. All right, very cool. So let's do this again. Now from 26, we want him squatting down and then doing a quick flip, right? So again, I'm going to steal this pose from 15 let me select all of my controllers. I'm going to copy 15, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's go ahead and go to like 32. Let's do a paste. So he's going to charge back up, right? And now what I want to do is I want to launch him up in the air, and I want to spin him. So before he does that, right, I definitely want him to charge up, and then I want to expand him back up like he's kind of flying up in the air, right? So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat again. I'm going to steal my keyframes from 26, go to 38, and let me paste those in. And this time I really want to make sure that he is in a I'm taking off pose, right? So how do we do that? Let's do this. Let's grab his feet. Let's just bend them. I'm going to press E and do something like this. And what I would like to do next is I'm going to grab his waist, move him forward, grab his chest, move him forward too. Take his head, do something like this. And this is going to be him kind of rotating in the air. Let's grab both of his feet here and maybe bring them in a little bit closer. Press E and do something like this. All right, very cool. Let's say this is going to be my rotation pose, right? Now, once he rotates, once he goes from here to rotation, right? Once he's rotating, I'm gonna increase the timeline so I have more room here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate him using the locator. All right, so try to imagine again that he's flipping in the air, right? So I'm going to copy this 38 and I'm going to spin the locator. All of this is him spinning, spinning, spinning. On 50, he's still in this position here, right? And then after he's done spinning, I'm going to go back to landing. So I'm going to steal 32. And I'm going to add it to 55. Let's do a paste. And then he maybe wants to stand back up. So I'm going to grab and steal my 26 and do something like this, right? All right, very cool. Very efficient way, because we're just blocking out. So we don't want to spend too much time posing him in a custom way, right? We're trying to just speed this up. All right, very cool. So now let's review. He's dropping down, he lands, then he stands up. Then he charges back up, then he starts to spin, and then he lands again, and then straightens back up, right? Right here we have some kind of a movement of the swords, right? Let's maybe review and see what that's all about. If I select this arm here and this one here, I can see that there's some craziness going on with the graph editor, right? From here to here. Let's select both of these keys and do a linear. Now it's nice and straight. So now if I move this, you should see the arms kind of staying in one place. All right, very cool. Now let's go ahead and animate our locator. So to do this, I'm going to select my locator. I'm going to set a key on, let's go ahead and set the key on 0. I'm going to set one on 10 just because I know that's where he lands. And then right here, he stands up. he bends down, and right here, he starts to take off, right? So right about here, let me set a first key on 32, and let's think about this. Now he's gonna start spinning in the air, spinning, 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 and then he's landing right here. So I wanna make sure that I'm gonna set another key of him landing and then standing up, right? Very cool. So now since I have all these keys kind of anchored in, now I can do the spin. Let's go here, press S. Let's grab our translation and let's move this up, press E, and let's just start rotating this. And of course I can change the position, right? So now I have something like this. He takes off, and we can adjust his feet as well, right? So he doesn't look, he needs to straighten his legs right here to kind of gain that momentum of spinning. And then right here, you could see that he is spinning around, and then you can see the locator is trying to push me back into this position. So you know what? I actually changed my mind. I'm gonna delete this one. I'm just gonna worry about him flipping. All right, so he's flipping in the air, and now let's do, let's press S to set a key. Let's press E, and let's really rotate him a lot, right? Press W, get him back into position. And if we wanted to, we can even do this from the side view. That's going to be maybe a little bit easier to see and kind of track his position, right? Let's go ahead and do that. So he's going to start rotating right here. I want to make sure that he kind of maintains his center here, right? Let's go ahead and maintain that center. Then he starts to spin. And right here, I'm going to move this up higher, and let me just make sure I set another key here. Just really want to maintain him on the Y, right? Very cool. Now he spins around, and then right here I'm going to press another S, press E, and let me just start kind of straightening him up. Press W, and again maintain my Y. Press W, move this a little bit closer. And I can adjust all these keys, right? I'm just kind of maintaining my Y position. All right, and right here, I actually want him to go back down to where the ground is. You can see the feet kind of straightening back up, right? So I'm gonna press S, and then I'm gonna go to 32. I'm gonna copy my locator from 32. I'm gonna put it on 55. I'm gonna paste it. But now I need to flip my rotation on X to be 360. So I'm going to actually type in 360. And the reason I need to say 360 is because this way, this entire time he's flipping around, right? So I want to make sure he kind of continues to flip, right? You can see if we go keyframe by keyframe, first one is going to be 42. Then he's going to go to 113, so it's increasing. Then he's going to go to 183, so it's getting even higher. 317, and then here I need 360, right? So that's important, right? Let's go back into perspective view and see what we got. So we haven't touched the graph editor yet, but now we should have a nice cool spin, and then he stands back up, right? Let's just see what we got. All right, very cool. So now we just have to adjust the timing and the animation, but you could see that the technical hurdle is behind us, where everything totally works, right? All the controllers are in place and everything is nice and clean and it's beautiful, right? So that's awesome. So now we got a really cool flip, and now let's just start playing around with some of the animation stuff, right? So one of the things I might want to do is click on let's go ahead and click on our locator, and let's look at the graph editor. You can see there's a lot of strangeness going on here, right? So one of the things I could do to clean this up very quickly, I can select all of these keys for my locator, and I can just do a spline, and you can see that's going to kind of clean this up and make it a little prettier, right? Very nice. If I press play, I can see what that looks like. All right, so now it's just a matter of adjusting the timing, right? If I click on if I click on my locator and then click on rotation X, I can see right here that the timing is a little bit off, right? I want him to be kind of in this pose when he comes down. So I'm gonna actually move this closer, And let me just adjust some of this. So I'm gonna do something, just let me shift these around a little bit, right? So that feels a little bit better, right? He's spinning, then he's about he's aimed with the ground, and then he kind of plops down. Let's just review and see if that's a little bit better. Right, I think so. So very cool. So from this point on, it's just a matter of tweaking it and making it better and better, right? So one of the things you might notice is that right here, he should actually be on the ground a little more, and then he should straighten his knees up before he takes off. So let's fix that, right? So let me copy this 32 for the locator, right? I'm gonna copy the 32, and then I'm gonna make sure he's still on the ground right here. So I'm gonna go to 35 and do paste. I really want him to be on the ground. And then what I want to do is I want to select all of the controllers. I'm going to press S. And what I want to do is I want to grab his feet. Just the feet. I'm going to grab this one, hold down the shift key, select that one, go to 32. I'm going to copy those feet, go to 35, and I'm going to paste them in. Okay, so now it looks like he's straightening up and he's ready to fly. All right, and let's see if that's a little bit better. All right, it's definitely better, but it could be even better, right? So let's see. So right here, he kind of charges up and then he starts to fly off. And maybe actually this position here doesn't make much sense because it needs to be more, you know, his feet should not be back like this, right? So let me select the locator, and you can see at this point it's just tweaking, right? So if I press S for my locator, I can grab my move and I could just literally just move this forward, because that doesn't make sense for his legs to be back so much, right? So they're here, then they're still in the same kind of Y position, and then they start to move back to here, and maybe I don't want that. I'm going to move it forward a little more. All right, so that makes a little more sense. And then he spins and then lands back down. So let's review and see if that's a little bit better. Alright, so now because all the keys are in place, the last thing you want to do is just kind of move things around and move the keyframes around and make sure you click on each one of these controllers and you know, make sure that it's nice and smooth. You don't have any kind of strange curves or anything ugly, right? But if you you know, if you make enough tweaks, you should have something very similar to mine. And at this point, it would be really cool to get him into some kind of a attack animation, right? He jumps down, he does his flip, and then maybe he goes into some kind of a attack pose. But at this point, it's just a matter of posing and setting keyframes. But I wanted to show you this technical hurdle of creating a flip, because again, if you don't do it with the locator and you attempt to spin the actual controllers 360, you will quickly find out that it's pretty much a total nightmare. And I welcome you to try it. Just do like a quick test and you'll see what I mean. It's actually really tough. But with the locator, you can see it's creating a much better and smoother workflow, and it's going to give you a lot more control. So I hope you find this useful and fun and are you know, enjoying your kind of animation experiments. But thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.